do the Chiefs continue to run the AFC West this year and dominate against the Chargers, or can the Chargers bring up some form of dignity and be competitive and fight against the Chiefs?
Kev, I'm going to break it down to you like this. My heart is telling me pick the Chargers. My head is telling me pick the Chiefs. The reason why I'm mentioning the Chargers with my heart here is I think they're finally getting back some decent players on their offense. You know, Keenan Allen's been dealing with a hamstring issue the entire year. Mike Williams is dealing with a high ankle sprain. I mean, DeAndre Carter's been dealing with rib issues. Gerald Everett's been dealing with a groin injury. But going into the weekend, all of these guys are actually practicing. Granted, it's on a limited participation basis, but there is a outside chance that all the guys that I just mentioned could potentially be playing for the Chargers. And I think if they're able to hit the field for the Chargers on Sunday night, I think it gives them a huge confidence boost because then at least they have the requisite pieces to be able to put up a fight against that Chiefs team. Because when I look back to that 49ers game that the Chargers had this past weekend, they only lost that game by 6 points. And if they were able to have the pieces at their disposal to go out there, there's a very good chance that they would have beaten the 49ers last week. So the Chargers definitely showed me that they had a lot of heart. Granted, it came in a losing effort, but I think if they have their pieces here, I think they could really give the Chiefs a run for their money. But like I said, I want to go with my heart, but I'm going with my head. I'm going with my brain on this one. I'm going with the Chiefs. Granted, I know the Chiefs are probably going to be down Juju Smith-Schuster this week. He suffered a hellacious hit last week against the Jaguars. He got knocked out on the field. Is still in concussion protocol, so we are not going to see him this weekend. But I got to look at the Chiefs' offense, and even though they're not going to have Juju at their disposal, you got Kadarius Toney, and I think Kadarius Toney is definitely going to see an increase in his overall production here, just because they're going to need the production to come from somewhere outside of Travis Kelce and McCole Hardman. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kadarius Toney really becomes a focal piece of this offense until Juju Smith-Schuster comes back. And I think by and large, you know, you look at what they have in their backfield with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, this team is solid offensively, and they've just been very consistent this year. And I don't really see this offense slowing down in any way, shape, or form unless Patrick Mahomes starts turning the ball over. So there have been times where he's gotten picked off this year. You could look back to the Bills game a couple weeks ago where he threw the game-losing interception. But by and large, Patrick Mahomes is at the top of the MVP leaderboard. We're halfway through the season. He's a big piece why the Chiefs have one of, if not the best record in the AFC, and there's a very good chance that they could end up with the number one seed if they just continue the consistency in winning games. And I think when it comes to this game specifically, they're going on the road. It's going to be a very interesting environment. But I think that when you look at what the Chiefs have done in recent memory against the Chargers, they've largely been successful. And it's simply just because I think Patrick Mahomes has the confidence to be able to beat that Chargers defense. And just to put it bluntly, this Chargers defense has been banged up the entire year. They don't have J.C. Jackson. They don't have Joey Bosa. Granted, you got Derwin James, you got Kyle Van Noy in your linebacking core, but the Chargers defense is just down too many players right now, and I don't think that they're going to be able to rise to the occasion to slow down this KC offense, despite the fact that Juju's not going to be available for the Chiefs. So when it's all said and done, I got the Chiefs winning this one. I do think it is going to be a competitive game, though. If the Chargers were able to keep it a one-possession game against the 49ers without basically half of their offensive roster, I think there's a very good chance that they could replicate a similar type of outcome. I think it's just going to be a losing effort just because I think that KC is a little bit better than them at this point. But I will say the Chargers could be in a good position moving forward after this game if everybody's able to stay healthy for the rest of the year. I think they dropped this one, though. I got Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense putting up probably 31, maybe even 34 points. And I think the Chargers, I think they're going to put up a fight. I'm going to say they put up 28 points, but I think they fall short. I think they lose by 6 points, and the Chiefs just continue their dominance in the AFC West this year. So, Kev, floor is yours on this one.
I mean, low key, I think this one could be a rout. I'm not even trying to be insulting to the Chargers. I've had no faith in them since they started going down with the injuries. Like the second Joey went down, honestly, I was like, damn. And then when I started seeing JC get torched, I was like, damn again. And then obviously Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, you already alluded all the injuries, right? So then what does that do? That puts all of the weight of this team on Justin Herbert. And without targets to throw to, people are starting to scrutinize and say he's not that good, he's overrated, da 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 da. It when you don't have weapons to throw to, when the team is not performing, when the free agents that you brought in the offseason get hurt and potentially are ruled out for the season, what are you supposed to do? As a quarterback, you always take the front end of the blame and then it's the head coach or vice versa, depending on who you ask. But there's nothing you can do to combat injuries. There's always next man up. There's guys in the practice squad. There's guys that are, the career backups that have been relatively solid their whole career. That they don't always hit. That next man up method is not always applicable because some of these players are irreplaceable. Mike Williams, tall, catch radius receiver, fast, separation. I mean, he is a very dynamic playmaker. That's hard to replace between physical stature and capabilities. Keenan Allen, one of the best route runners in football. We all know that he knows how to separate. Great catch, great catch percentage, not a high drop ratio. I mean, he can catch the ball pretty much anywhere you put it in front of him as long as it's within his grab. Then, of course, on the defensive side, elite pass rusher, Joey Bosa, elite corner, J.C. Jackson. These are these aren't like fifth, sixth round picks that are like just coming out of the woodworks that are kind of like solid. These are Pro Bowlers. These are all pro caliber players. It is hard to replace an all pro player. Let's just be blunt. So aside from that, I think that even if they were to get these players back, it is going to be on a limited basis. You're not going to want to put Mike Williams out there for 60 offensive plays. You're not going to want to put Keenan Allen, who's already aggravated that hamstring injury once before, from coming back too soon. And he's not going to come out there and he's not going to play 55 snaps. So again, even if those players are available, it will be at a limited basis. Now, for the Chiefs, they're running on all cylinders. As long as you have Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, I think they'll be fine. I mean, I'm not trying to say that Travis Kelce is the only source of offense because you have seen that in his limited time in KC, Kadarius Toney has provided to be a little bit of a spark. Juju Smith-Schuster started to come out. Mecole Hardman unfortunately got put on injured reserve today, so he will be out a minimum of 4 games. So we will see what happens with that. But the running game for KC is kind of like the biggest concern for me because Clyde Edwards-Helaire has fallen to, I think, second or third on the depth chart because they don't really utilize him as well, as much. His yards per carry aren't as high, and I don't think that he was ever going to be anything big coming out of LSU. Aside from his rookie year, he's fallen apart. He can't stay healthy, and whenever they do call on him, he's not really somebody that has been able to put up consistent numbers aside from his rookie season. But when it comes to Pat Mahomes versus Justin Herbert, it's Pat Mahomes. When it comes to the offense that currently exists as healthy as they are in Kansas City versus the offense that's currently struggling to stay healthy in LA, I got to go with the Chiefs. Now, the defense of the Chiefs has been better than the Chargers all year long. So I'm going to ride with the Chiefs. And that's why I think with everything that I just alluded to, this has the potential to be a blowout by 14 of 17 points. The Chiefs are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team, depending on who you ask. Now, I know they struggled against Tennessee, but when you have Derrick Henry on the other side of the ball, and Derrick Henry continues to take away time of possession from Patrick Mahomes, get the secondary tired, create play action for Ryan Tannehill, it was, well, actually, it wasn't even Ryan Tannehill, it was Malik Willis, believe it or not. So it was like, they had their struggles as well this year, so let's not make it seem like they haven't come close to losing. They've had a lot of close games, especially the Vegas game where they won by 1 point. I just think that because it's an AFC West matchup, because I think that the Chargers I have too many ailing injuries and issues, I think the Chiefs make a statement this week and they say, you know what, we got to shake this narrative that we can't beat good teams or that we can't beat good teams by a lot of points. I think that this is where Pat Mahomes takes the advantage, puts himself in the front of the MVP without a doubt. Not that he already isn't, but it's like sometimes you need a game where you separate yourself. You put a line in the dirt and you say, I'm him. I think this is the week that Pat does it.